Life is filled with little bumps.
Called the wrist twist steering control, it was developed for Mercury by ex-missile engineer Bob Rump.
Remember when cars were a symbol of cutting-edge technology and freedom? But did you know that some early innovations in car design were actually quite dangerous? Many of these popular features, now considered routine, were once the height of automotive advancement. From flimsy seat belts to risky braking systems, these advancements often came with hidden dangers. So, join us as we explore 10 popular old car innovations that were really dangerous.
The shoulder belt automatically applies itself when you close the door. The problem is, most people forget.
In the late 1970s, car makers like Volkswagen introduced automatic seat belts to encourage more people to use them. These belts had shoulder harnesses on rails that would automatically position themselves when the car was started. Soon after their invention, regulators mandated they be put into new vehicles. Although the mandate was later removed, production of the robot-like contraption had already started, and by the 1980s and 1990s, thousands of cars on the road had them installed. Despite its futuristic look, the automatic seatbelt came with safety concerns. The electric motor and track were prone to braking, making the seatbelt useless in the event of a crash. With the automatic seatbelt in place, many drivers didn't use the bottom seatbelt, which needed to be manually attached. This ended up being more dangerous when faced with a serious accident. The automatic seatbelt was eventually replaced by driver's side airbags. As car designers moved on from automatic seatbelts, they experimented with other unconventional ideas. What happened when Ford introduced a peculiar steering system that felt more like a gadget than a safety feature? Let's explore the wrist twist steering system next.
Feature of the wrist twist system is the addition of armrests for both controls. Since only a light touch is necessary, the arms may rest solidly on...
In the mid-1960s, Ford's Mercury brand introduced a quirky steering system called wrist twist steering. This system featured two small dials resembling mini steering wheels, one for each hand. The idea was to improve visibility and ergonomics with plastic rings positioned on either side of where a standard steering wheel would sit. Drivers rested their arms on armrests and used these rings to control the vehicle. Initial reactions were mixed, with some finding the design odd but surprisingly comfortable. The absence of a traditional rim improved forward vision, and the small wheels felt intuitive. However, the system had drawbacks, such as a quicker steering ratio that some found too slow, and a lack of padding that could reduce crash protection. Ultimately, the wrist twist steering remained an experiment, never widely adopted, though similar concepts have resurfaced in modern designs like Tesla's Model S yoke. As we wrap up our look at the innovative wrist twist steering, can you guess any other unusual ideas aimed at improving safety in cars? Let's explore the surprising world of water-filled bumpers next.
Life is filled with little bumps. But General Motors cars were 1974.
In the 1960s, water-filled bumpers, or hydraulic bumpers, were introduced as a novel way to reduce car crash injuries. These bumpers, designed with water chambers made from quarter-inch thick vinyl chloride, were created by inventor John Rich to minimize collision damage. When cars with these bumpers collided, the chambers would release water, absorbing some of the impact. Although tests indicated promising results, showing fewer injuries than low-speed crashes, water-filled bumpers had significant drawbacks. They were prone to leakage and required constant refilling, which made them impractical for widespread use. Additionally, their effectiveness diminished in higher-speed collisions, and they couldn't prevent all types of crash damage. As a result, they eventually fell out of favor and were replaced by traditional bumpers, which, despite their own issues, proved to be more reliable. But how did car makers innovate further to improve driver comfort and safety in the 1960s? Let's explore the ingenious swing-away steering wheels.
Find this, an optional swing-away steering wheel that moves over to welcome you in then pivot smoothly back to the normal driving position.
In the 1960s, before digital technology, the classic Ford swing-away steering wheel introduced a clever mechanical solution. Debuting on the 1961 Ford Thunderbird, this feature allowed the steering wheel to swing 18 inches toward the center of the car, making it easier for drivers to enter and exit the vehicle. When the car was in park, the wheel moved away, creating a smooth entry and exit, with a metal plate filling the gap for a stylish touch. Priced at $25.10, it was affordable and popular, later becoming standard in other models like the Ford Galaxy. While safety was a focus, ensuring the car couldn't move unless the wheel was in its regular position, the swing-away design faced safety concerns. In crashes, the mechanism became a hazard, and its complexity led to higher maintenance issues. Over time, these concerns and advances in safety technology led to its decline, although it still influenced features in models like the Ford Mustang and Mercury Cougar. As we look back at Ford's innovative swing-away steering wheel, what other daring safety features were once on the drawing board? Let's explore how the Tucker 48 tried to revolutionize car safety with its pop-out windshield.
And the smooth action of the new Ford soft transverse springs.
In the 1940s, car makers were trying out new safety features, and one unusual idea was the pop-out windshield. This windshield could pop out in one piece if hit from the inside. Preston Tucker, the creator of Tucker 48, made this feature famous. The Tucker 48 aimed to change car safety, performance, and style, with the pop-out windshield as a key selling point. It worked with a latch mechanism that would release in an emergency, letting the whole windshield pop out so people could escape if the doors were stuck. However, people were skeptical, worried it might pop out accidentally, and critics doubted its practicality. It also had issues like structural weakness, leaks, and wind noise. Despite the initial buzz, it didn't catch on. By the late 1940s, other safety features like seatbelts became more popular, and the pop-out windshield was replaced by laminated safety glass and crumple zones. As the pop-out windshield faded away, many questioned whether any safety feature could truly blend style with substance. What was the next big innovation in car aesthetics and safety? Let's explore the rise of chrome bumpers and their glamorous yet impractical impact. Chrome bumpers with their shiny, mirror-like finish were a popular feature on classic cars in the mid-20th century. Introduced for their aesthetic appeal, they added elegance and reflected sunlight brilliantly, making cars look luxurious. From the 1950s to the 1970s, chrome bumpers were a status symbol on everything from sedans to muscle cars. However, despite their glamorous appearance, practical concerns arose. Chrome bumpers were thin, lacked energy absorption, and dented easily in low-speed impacts. They also rusted over time, with the chrome peeling away. By the 70s and 80s, safety regulations led car manufacturers to switch to urethane and TPO bumpers, which, while less shiny, were more effective in absorbing impacts. Today, while modern cars use plastic or painted steel bumpers, classic car enthusiasts continue to restore and cherish the nostalgic charm of chrome bumpers. As chrome bumpers faded from popularity due to safety concerns, what about other design features that were once in vogue but compromised safety?
Keep the motor from ramming into the front seat during a head-on collision. For steering, the whole front end swiveled on a pivot joint behind.
Let's explore how skinny A-frames fit into this evolution. Skinny A-frames, used in mid-20th century car design, were slender pillars connecting the roof to the car body, aimed at improving visibility by allowing for larger glass areas. Popular from the 1950s to the 1970s, they provided a sleek, modern look, but raised safety concerns. While their visual appeal was undeniable, they compromised structural integrity, particularly during rollover accidents, making roofs more prone to collapse. Additionally, these thin pillars offered less protection in side-impact collisions and increased noise and vibration inside the cabin. As safety standards evolved, regulatory changes pressured automakers to enhance crashworthiness. By the late 1970s, manufacturers transitioned to wider pillars, sacrificing some visibility for improved protection. Today, reinforced A-pillars made with advanced materials strike a balance between safety and visibility, addressing the issues of the older skinny A-frames. As skinny A-frames faded from the automotive scene due to safety concerns, they left behind a legacy of innovation and change. With evolving safety standards, automakers also reconsidered other design elements. What happened to the classic front bench seats that once dominated the front row of cars? Let's explore the rise and fall of these spacious seats and their potential comeback in modern vehicles.
I think you can draw a straight line from carriages to bench seats. A lot of those early cars, even produced cars, not just experimental vehicles, literally had bench seats, like taken right off the carriage production line and put into the vehicle. So I think it's just a natural holdover from that.
Front bench seats, once a hallmark of classic cars and drive-in theaters, were wide, continuous cushions spanning the front row, promoting spaciousness and communal seating. Popular in the U.S. from the 1950s, they faded due to the rise of smaller sports cars with bucket seats like the Ford Mustang and Chevy Corvette. Safety regulations in the 1970s, emphasizing seatbelts and airbags, further marginalized front bench seats, as they complicated restraining three passengers safely. The shift to bucket seats allowed for center consoles and gear shifters. Today, front bench seats are rare, mostly found in trucks. However, with the advent of electric vehicles, some prototypes showcase front row bench seating, hinting at a possible revival. Despite manufacturers like Chrysler and Ford ceasing their installation in the early 2000s, nostalgia and EV trends could bring them back into popularity. As we look back at the evolution of front bench seats, the focus on safety led to significant changes in automotive design. With safety innovations reshaping car interiors, could the steering column be another crucial element that evolved? Let's explore how collapsible steering columns transformed vehicle safety and what they mean for today's cars. In the early days of automobiles, non-collapsible steering columns were common. These rigid shafts connected the steering wheel to the gearbox, simply transmitting driver input without any safety features. Initially, drivers didn't question them, focusing more on the driving experience than safety. However, in frontal collisions, these columns became dangerous, often impaling drivers and causing severe injuries or death due to their inability to absorb impact energy. As safety awareness grew in the mid-20th century, automakers recognized the need for safer designs. By the 1960s, collapsible steering columns were introduced, featuring telescoping sections that absorbed crash forces, significantly reducing the risk of impalement and spinal injuries. Today, these collapsible columns are standard in all vehicles, crumpling during crashes to protect drivers and significantly enhance automotive safety. As we've seen, the evolution from non-collapsible to collapsible steering columns dramatically improved safety. But did this change in design impact other aspects of car aesthetics? Let's explore the fascinating world of hood ornaments next. Hood ornaments once graced classic cars like miniature works of art, serving more than just a decorative purpose. These small sculptures, also known as car mascots, were mounted on the front of the car and represented the car manufacturer's identity, heritage, or aspirations. Popular from the early 20th century to the mid-century, they adorned luxury, sports, and everyday vehicles. Each automaker had its signature design, like Rolls-Royce's Spirit of Ecstasy or Buick's Dynaflow Goddess. Animal motifs like jaguars and eagles also featured prominently. However, safety regulations in the 1960s addressed concerns about these ornaments being potential hazards in collisions, as they could cause serious injuries or fatalities if a pedestrian struck them. These regulations led to their removal in favor of smoother, safer hoods. While these old car innovations were groundbreaking, they often came with significant risks. It's fascinating to see how far we've come in terms of safety. Which of these innovations surprised you the most? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on automotive history.